I was not just feeling mentally overwhelmed, I felt it everywhere in my body. Pain, fatigue, brain fog, all after one really emotionally heavy day. If you're living with chronic illness while parenting a neurodivergent child and you keep wondering why your body crashes when life gets emotionally intense, this episode is going to help you to understand what's happening and what is going to help your nervous system to recover. Let's get started.
Welcome to Chronic Illness Moms. If you're more than just a tired mom, I'm talking trying to make it through the day without crashing by noon while raising neurodivergent kids, you're not alone. I'm Ashley, a wife, mom, and certified health coach. I have lived with autoimmune disease and flare-ups that made everyday life feel harder than it should. After years of pushing through and burning out, I learned how much stress, poor sleep, and nervous system overload were driving my symptoms. Everything changed when I started building small, realistic habits that actually supported my body instead of fighting it. In this podcast, you'll learn simple habits that help you to feel better. So pop in your earbuds and take a break from the chaos. It's you time.
Hi friend, welcome back to Chronic Illness Moms. I am Ashley, a mom living with chronic illness in a neurodiverse family. And today we're going to be talking about something that I know you have felt, but maybe you've never really had the words to explain. And that is whenever life gets emotionally overwhelming, oftentimes you will notice that you end up being sick or your body starts to hurt or something like that. And you might be thinking, okay, I cannot understand what is going on. What is the connection here? Oftentimes the connection is your nervous system. So I can remember, and this has happened to me, honestly, even recently, where there have been days where I had a child who was struggling so much, just dysregulated. The house felt tense. My entire day, I was just trying to hold everything together, holding my breath, trying to keep my calm, trying to push through, keep going. And then what I would notice is that the next day, or maybe within the next few days, my body would crash. I would be having pain. I would notice that brain fog was worse, and I was just feeling completely exhausted. In a neurodiverse home, a lot of times you will notice that you are just feeling emotionally on all the time. And we've talked about this before. And then when you add in that you're also living with some kind of chronic symptoms or chronic illness, your body is carrying that emotional load, even when no one sees it. And it is often struggling with that emotional load. And that will be adding to your symptoms without you realizing it. That's why I said at the beginning of this episode that I didn't just feel physically overwhelmed or mentally overwhelmed. I felt it in my body. The pain, the fatigue, the brain fog, and it was all after a really emotionally intense day. So let's talk about your nervous system. We talk about your nervous system all the time. Honestly, it's one of my favorite things to talk about, probably because it is something that I struggled with so much, still struggle with consistently, and am always learning more about because I realized how much it was impacting my health to have a dysregulated nervous system. So we know that your nervous system does not separate the difference between emotional stress, mental stress, or like a physical danger. You know, if you have a child who is melting down, your body reads that the same as if a bear were chasing you. All of them are read as a threat to you. So when you are working to remain calm and absorbing your child's emotions and helping them to co-regulate, when you are managing doctor's appointments, when you are masking your own exhaustion and pushing through, when you are trying to stay calm and strong for everyone else, your body is constantly staying in survival mode. And the reason why is because your nervous system is dysregulated and your body is scanning the environment and telling you, we are not safe. And so again, everything like that is read as a threat. And we know when you are stuck in survival mode, that leads to high cortisol. It leads to inflammation. Your muscles become tense. Your immune system is weakened. A lot of times you'll have issues with blood sugar regulation, which leads to weight gain. All of these things are connected. And so whenever we're talking about the emotional stress and like emotional overload, a lot of times that can then resort to or convert to pain or fatigue or brain fog. These are not signs that you are failing, that your body is messed up, or that there's something wrong with you. These are just signals that your body needs additional support and that likely your nervous system is dysregulated. So let's talk about some different ways that emotional fatigue, emotional overload might show up in your body. Because, you know, we obviously feel the signs mentally, we feel the signs emotionally, but there are typically physical signs as well. And again, a lot of these relate to what I call, like holding stress in your body. And a lot of times that emotional stress, that emotional overload is stress to the body as well. So we're all, typically we're looking for signs of stress in the body. So things like tight shoulders, you're clenching your jaw, you have headaches. Maybe you notice that you just, in general, you're clenching up your muscles. You just generally feel tense. You might feel completely exhausted after emotional stress. The way I have experienced this, especially during really intense seasons with a child we have who just has struggled with a lot of different things, is, after the fact of trying to remain calm, of trying to help this child regulate, I would feel completely wiped out, like I had nothing left to give. I would feel like I could not think. I couldn't make a decision. I really couldn't figure out, okay, how do I move forward to figure out what we're eating for dinner? It was just like there was nothing left for me to give to anyone, including myself. So you might notice that, just complete and utter exhaustion. You also might notice foggy thinking or shutting down, which is what I was sharing with you earlier. And that can come whenever the emotional exhaustion is so intense and our body just cannot manage another thing. And so therefore we just shut down. We can't process anything. We can't move forward. We can't make decisions. We are just stuck in that fight or flight state. Our body has nothing left to give. And that to me is more of like an emergency situation where I have to do something right now to figure out how to regulate myself and bring my body back to that point of realizing that I am safe and that we are going to be okay and we're going to make it through this, because you just cannot move forward when you're in that state. And the thing that you have to keep in mind is it doesn't mean, again, you're not a failure. It's not this sign that you're not strong enough to handle anything. This is just a natural response. This is your body's way of protecting you, because what you've just gone through is very intense and your body is saying, okay, no more. I cannot take any more. It's just trying to protect you and keep you safe. Okay, so let's talk about some things that can actually help when you get to that point of really just struggling emotionally intense situations. And this might not be your child, and maybe it's a different family member. Maybe it's someone who has been critical of your parenting. Maybe it's you're dealing with a school situation. It can be so many different things. It could be a relationship. But regardless of what it is, you are just to that point where emotionally you are feeling overwhelmed, and or at least my inclination in the past had been to just kind of stuff down the feelings until I couldn't take it anymore. And then I would just kind of erupt. And obviously I've realized over time that's not a healthy way. I was not doing myself or anyone else any favors by not dealing with the feelings that I was feeling, being honest about them, and then working through them real time. And so that's why we have to be very careful. Obviously, we want to handle these emotions and process through how we're feeling in these situations in a healthy manner, but we have to make sure that we are also being cautious about how we're thinking about these things. Like, how are we thinking about these difficult situations? How are we thinking about the fact that we have these feelings and these emotions? Our mindset, our thoughts, all of those things matter. How we talk to ourselves shapes how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about our situations, how we feel about others. So the thing is, when your nervous system is completely overwhelmed and overloaded, your body, you need to have those positive thoughts and that positive reinforcement. You need to process through your emotions and your feelings. You need to watch how you're talking to yourself about those situations. But also, you have to figure out a way to release the stress from your body, and you have to be sending physical safety signals back to your body as well. That is why emotional stress doesn't necessarily go away just because you tell yourself you're okay or you're trying to think positive about a situation. While I'm not negating the fact that those are very important, more often than not, those are not going to be the full picture, because we have a physiological response that is going on in our body, and we need to be able to release that. We need to be able to send our body safety signals so that our body realizes that we are safe, everything is good. And God He designed us this way. This is not something to feel bad about. It's not something that we have to feel like, oh, I'm just being extra, or I just am not able to handle emotions well. This is just a natural response that God put in us. So let's talk about what are some really gentle ways that you can help your body out of that stress response that you are in. The first thing is to get the emotion off of your chest. So just talk about it, share about it. To me, this can be something, even if you're just owning it for yourself. I like to put my hand to my heart, take a deep breath, and I can just say, this is a lot. I'm allowed to feel overwhelmed about this right now. It's okay. You're just saying, owning the fact that this feels like a lot. Yeah, I've even had times where I've said, I don't know how I'm going to handle this. And it's okay that I feel overwhelmed right now. Take a deep breath. And then a lot of times what I will do is I'll take that even a step further. If I'm feeling like, okay, I've owned this out loud to myself, I've tried to calm myself by taking those deep breaths, putting my hand on my chest and just saying, this is a lot. I'm overwhelmed and I'm allowed to feel overwhelmed. But if I feel like, I still am just struggling with this, a lot of times I'll go and I'll talk to my husband about it and just say, hey, today was really bad and I need to talk about it. I'm just feeling overwhelmed. And, I don't necessarily say I need to talk about it in those words, but I just start telling him, like, this is how I was feeling. This is what was going on. And I have noticed so much that getting that emotion out, like sharing it with myself first and giving myself permission to feel it, but then also if I need to, sharing it with someone else and just kind of releasing that and letting someone else know what I'm going through instead of bottling it all up and holding it in, feeling like I have to manage it all on my own, makes such a difference, especially if you have a listener who is really great at validating your feelings without feeling like they have to fix them. Obviously there are situations where some kind of helpful tip is great. And I am always all for those times whenever my husband and I can brainstorm stuff and figure out what we can do moving forward. But also just knowing in the moment that I just need my feelings to be validated and heard. Finding someone like that really does make a huge impact on being able to really release the feelings of stress that you're having, the emotional stress you're feeling, without feeling shame or guilt around the fact that you have those feelings in the first place. Because I notice that comes up a lot, is I might feel bad, feel guilty, feel like a bad mom, feel like I'm not doing well handling the situation when I have those feelings. And so when I can be honest about them with someone else and someone else says, hey, it really makes sense that you feel that way. And this is really hard. And this situation is not fun. That makes a huge difference for me. Another thing you can do is move your body to release stress. So roll your shoulders. You could try stretching. You can just walk, take like a quick little walk, even if it's in your house, pacing back and forth, like up and down your hallway for a minute or two. Just moving your body. That's going to help to kind of, the thing with your that stress cycle is you have the stress, but then you want to get to recovery. And so if we can move through the stress to get on the other side to get to recovery, we're going to build resilience to the stress over time. But if we cannot close that stress loop and we're just constantly getting stressed without recovering and then building the resilience, that's where the problem comes in. So I find moving can be a great way to do that. Something else that I will do, you could do like calf raises or squats, like 20 squats, things like that. Something that's just really fast, but is going to get your body moving. Another thing you can try would be using temperature to regulate your nervous system. So this could be a warm cup of hot chocolate or coffee or something like that. It could be stepping outside. It could be rinsing your face with cool water. But that temperature shift can be a great way to help to regulate your nervous system. And then the last thing you can try is adding some type of predictable activity. So a lot of times we know in neurodiverse homes, things are not necessarily always predictable, which is something that does keep stress high. So let's see, can we find some little small thing in the day that creates predictability, especially if it's something that just makes you smile. So this could be something like your favorite mug. You use the same favorite mug that you have every single day. Maybe it's that favorite cup of coffee that you look forward to every single morning. Maybe it's that you are going to do your nighttime stretching every night. That's my thing, and I do it almost every single night. It's something I look forward to. I do like my pelvic floor workout and my stretches, and it's something I look forward to. It's predictable. I know every single day it's a great time for me to do deep breathing and to relax and de-stress from the day. Maybe you have a favorite song or calming music or favorite playlist that you want to listen to. Maybe it's that you have a chair and a warm fuzzy blanket that you know you're going to spend 15 minutes in every single day. The predictability and that comfort is really going to help to lower your stress levels. So find something, just a small little something. Like I said, it could even be that favorite mug, coffee mug that you use every single day, or your water cup that you love. Like you buy a water cup that is just like has a design that you love. Every time you see it, you smile. I love to find little bitty things that I can add into my life that just make me smile for no reason at all other than I just like it. So find something like that and then use it or interact with it every single day. Okay, so let's talk about why this matters, especially when you are dealing with chronic symptoms or chronic illness. We know that whenever that emotional stress is staying trapped in the body, that it is causing your cortisol levels to stay high all the time. Your nervous system is going to be dysregulated. We know that this is going to cause inflammation to increase, your fatigue, pain, healing is going to slow down, all of that. So let's start to work on some small, consistent ways that we can begin to release this emotional stress that we so often feel on repeat every single day. And I want to encourage you to pick one of these tools and try it out. And then let me know, how does it go? Remember, your body does not need more pressure. I am not encouraging you to try every single one of these and stress yourself out whenever you can't consistently stay with it. That is not the goal. Your body needs more safety. So pick one of these safety signals and then just try it out and see how it goes. I would love to hear from you guys. I would love for you to come join us over in our free Facebook group as well. I will add that link down in the show notes below, along with any other links for you to reach out to me. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I'll see you back next time.
Hey friend, I hope you found today's episode helpful. If you did, would you take a minute to share it with another mom who's struggling with chronic symptoms? And leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It means the world to me to know this podcast is making a difference for you. All right, it's time for me to go tackle those snack requests, and remember that a short walk, even if the kids turn it into a race, still counts as self-care. Keep chasing those little wins. Even when it feels messy, you're making progress. The information shared in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult your healthcare provider before making any changes to your health routine. I'm not a doctor, and this podcast is not intended to treat or diagnose any condition. You're the expert on your body. Listen to it and reach out to a trusted provider for support.